Hour and half hour. Our first lesson in telling time will be looking at a clock and deciding and determining the hour and half hour. What do you know about telling time? If you're working with someone, take a moment and have a discussion about everything you know about telling time. If you're working by yourself, take out a piece of paper or think to yourself a list everything you know about telling time. Telling time. On a clock, you'll notice there are two hands. There is a short hand known as the hour hand, and right now this hour hand is pointing just a little bit below the 4. The longer hand is known as the minute hand, and right now it's pointing just off of the 2. So what does the hour hand tell you, or the little hand tell you? The hour hand tells you the hour. What does the minute hand or the big hand tell you? The minute hand or the big hand tells you the minutes. How much time goes by each time you get to the next number? There's actually two answers because it varies from hand to hand. The hour hand takes 1 hour to go from one number to the next. The minute hand takes 5 minutes to go from one number to the next. I'm going to write that in that box. So to repeat what I just said, the hour hand takes 1 hour to get to the next number, but the minute hand takes 5 minutes. As an extra added bonus, on some clocks there's a third hand known as the second hand. That's this red hand right here. So if you'll see this red hand going around rather quickly, that's the second hand, and that indicates how many seconds goes by. Not all clocks have this, but some do, and I just thought I would point that out as an extra added bonus. Telling time. Put the numbers into the appropriate place. Well, we start up at the top, and we put the number 12 at the top. 12 is always at the top of an analog or round clock. After 12, we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. This is what the numbers in proper order on an analog or round clock look like. Telling time. What time is it? Write your answers in the box and then pull down the shade to see if you are correct. So we're going to start with the shorter hand known as the hour hand, and since that hour hand is pointing towards the 8, we're going to write 8 in the front of the colon here. Now, the minute hand, the longer of the two hands, is pointing at the 12. That is the beginning of the hour on an analog or round clock. And we denote the beginning with a 00. So this is the right way to say 8 o'clock. Okay? Now let's turn our attention to the second clock before I pull the shade down to reveal the answer. Here we have the hour hand is pointing between the 7 and the 8. So as long as it's not quite to the 8 yet, we didn't get there yet, we keep it at the 7. So the hour is 7. Okay. Anything in this range here, right in here, is 7. Okay, it's only up until it's pointing directly at the 8 is when we start the 8th hour. Now as far as the 6 goes, in terms of minutes, when the minute hand is pointing to the 6, that represents 30 minutes. So we say the time is 7:30. So I pull down the shade and we see that this represents 8 o'clock and that represents 7:30. Telling time. Move the hands on the clock to match the time in each box. So first of all, I'm going to click on the setting here and I'm going to remove the second hand so that way we don't have the second hand. Now, I'm going to move first of all, the minute hand over to 12 o'clock. Instead of 12, just indicate 12 o'clock. And the hour hand points to the 7. So that is what 7 o'clock looks like. For 9:30, again, I'm going to hide the second hand. And now I'm going to set this up so it says 9:30. So for 9:30, I'm going to move the minute hand to the 6 because that represents 30 minutes when the minute hand points to it. And the hour hand, I'm going to point to the 9. Now notice it's kind of halfway between the 9 and the 10 because the hour hand moves much more slowly. So as the minute hand goes around, the hour hands are going to move slightly past 9. It takes an hour to go from 9 to 10. So at this point, the hour hand is halfway between 9 and 10. That's what 9:30 looks like. Telling time. Draw the hour and minute hands on the clock to match the times. The 3 clocks we want to match are 5 o'clock. The middle clock, we want to match 12 o'clock. And for the third clock, we want to match 8 o'clock. We're going to draw our hour hands pointing at the 5, the 12, and the 8. And the 00 means that the minute hands are going to point directly at the 12. This is what 5 o'clock looks like. This is what 12 o'clock looks like. And that's what 8 o'clock looks like. Draw the hour and minute hands on the clocks to match the time. And the times we want to match are 2:30, 7:30, and 5:30. I'm going to put a pair of hour hands and minute hands up here. Now for 2:30, remember the minute hand has to point directly at the 6. So I'll set it up so it points at the 6. And the hour hand will go halfway between the 2 and the 3. So this is what 2:30 looks like. The minute hand is pointing at the 6. The hour hand is halfway between the 2 and the 3. The reason why it's halfway between the 2 and the 3 is that it takes an hour for the hour hand to move from one number to the next, while the minute hand takes an hour to move all the way around the clock. So when the minute hand completes half of its journey, the hour hand went half of its distance between the two numbers. For 7:30, anything that ends in a 30 is going to point at the 6. The minute hand is going to point at the 6. And then the hour 7 is going to be between the 7 and the 8. And remember that the region between two numbers, when you're talking about the hour hand, okay, this region in here, the hour hand is going to read 7, anything from the 7 up to but not including the 8. Once the hour hand points directly at the 8, then we switch over to 8 hours. Now let's show what 5:30 looks like. And here we have 5:30. Again, any time that ends with 30 or has a 30 after the colon means that the minute hand is pointing at the 6, and then the 5 would be halfway between the 5 and the 6 for the hour hand.